Hello, friends and gamers. My name is Jinx, and welcome to Operation Hats, German turn number 5, July 1938. It is an incredibly cold day today, I think it's minus 35 Celsius right now up here in Canada, and I think this weekend is supposed to hit overnight minus 40, 42 somewhere there, so it's going to be incredibly cold this weekend. But luckily, it is July 1938 in the nation of Germany, and things are going quite well for them. Let's do a quick summary for how the previous turn has gone for everybody and all parties involved. So, starting with Germany, nothing too much, just the usual kind of build-up of forces moving around, some naval movements, nothing too much. Spain succeeded on its recruitment roles. We got two militia now, looking pretty scant otherwise. They barely squeezed in a win there on the last turn, so two militia and artillery. That's basically it for the Nationalists' army. Turning on to the Russians to see what they're up to. The Russians are building up again their forces in the south, their forces in the north, a couple, fortified locations here in the cities of Kiev, Smolensk, and Leningrad. Nothing too much else on the far east. Chita is a stronger position over here. Turning to the Japanese had a little bit of a troublesome turn last turn. They attempted to attack a few spaces. I believe it was Kwaichao, Szechwan, Shensi, and Shantung, although I'm not quite sure about Kwaichao. Szechwan, they managed to pick up all the territories barring Shantung. I think they lost 3 units in that fight, but didn't manage to take that territory. So in response, the KMT came storming in there, recaptured Szechwan, and built a unit in Shantung. So that's kind of what's going on in this theater. So right now, of course, there's that little bit of a lull. Japan makes that big push, uses much of its starting forces, and then subsequently, here comes the second round, a bunch of extra units showing up on the board. But nonetheless, right now, things are a little bit tenuous for the Japanese on the continent, as we see quite a strong force of KMT forces matching up with what we have in Kwangtung. But generally speaking, things are at a bit of a balance, although the Japanese hold more territory in this region. We see the CCP kind of moving their forces back a little bit. That's kind of the situation they're in right now. Apart from that, nothing too much going on in this side of the world. The Anzac, again, are sending units over to join the Chinese side with Lend-Lease, and the FVC is still building up their forces in Calcutta and a few in British Malaysia. Nothing too much there, but Calcutta is looking quite strong. As you see over here, we have at least 3 and 4 units coming in from South Africa, so they're kind of shoring up Calcutta quite strongly. In the other Operation Hats games, Calcutta fell pretty quickly, if I'm not mistaken. 3 out of the 4, this is being the 4th game, Calcutta fell quite fast, so here we see a sizable stack of forces present there. In Africa, things are a little bit scant. Of course, we see our Cape Town unit over here. The Italians have withdrawn their navy from Italian Somaliland. The French now firmly hold Abyssinia with 4 infantry-type units here. So quite a sizable force. French Somaliland unit here as well. Sizable force present in that region. So good for them. Good for them. They're doing quite well. The British hold Egypt with 4 units. The Italians lightly hold North Africa. And the fleet. Let's look at the fleet dispositions in the water. So we see FVC units plus battle cruiser here, a few British units, but 1 battleship, 1 battle cruiser, a couple light cruisers, a couple heavy cruisers, and 3 heavy cruisers and a couple destroyers. So a sizable force over here in the Mediterranean. And if you count their escorting ships as well, it's a sizable force, matching and surpassing what the Italians currently have, I believe. And not too far away, we have the British parked over here in the Atlantic, who can kind of come storming in there afterwards for subsequent attack, being in range and all. So right now the Italians are successfully suppressed in the Mediterranean, or you can say the Italians are successful in drawing all the British attention into the Mediterranean. So I guess either, whatever perspective you have, you could either say the Italians are doing their job quite successfully, or the British are doing their job quite successfully, depending on your mind frame. All right, I think that about covers it, except for perhaps the Americans. Again, just building out their factories. They started doing their tech rolls as well, so they're on the board now for sure. And I guess the Italians did build up a few units here for a little bit of combat power, a couple of Marines, a couple of infantry, so they can have some reach in the rest of the Mediterranean, threaten those British colonies, those oppressing fellows. All right, turning our attention here to the German turn number 5. We're again going to do our tech turn at the end of the turn, but I made things a little easier now. From Bavaria, we're going to rail 2 units over to Slovakia, taking care of business on that side. I could just scratch that out later on. From East Germany, we're sending in our 3 light armor, are going to come over across to West Germany. From Berlin, we're going to send our Blue Brigade, our Blue Division that we get from the conquest of Spain. And our Air Force, Heroes Group A, is going to march over to Bavaria, or fly over rather. That involves all of our aircraft plus our 2 airborne units. So that's kind of what's coming in to this region here. And I do believe that covers it, except for the naval side of things. We have a submarine in A11. He's going to come join our usual kind of waypoint here in the Bay of Biscay. We turn our attention to our A28. The submarine is going to come one step over to off the coast of Portugal, which is going to be a major gathering point for some of our fleet. I suppose I should just leave that. A submarine is going to come from A45 to A35. We have another submarine coming from A47 off the Straits of Gibraltar over here. It really bothers me to leave these marks on there. I probably should just not have put them in there in the first place. And our torpedo boat destroyer that is now in the Mediterranean Sea is going to come across to over on this side. And I guess it could just hang out here. There's no reason to put in port. We can't be attacked. So that about covers it on this side of the globe. We turn our attention to the far side. We're moving a submarine from I-42 or 12? I-12. A submarine from I-12 is going to come down to P-61. Battle cruiser is going to go on convoy duty from I-12 to P-63. And that about covers their side of things. You know what? I did forget one thing, which is fairly crucial, which is our purchases. What purchases are going to make this turn? All right. Well, I kind of forgot about that. We had 45 bucks to spend. I'm using this handy dandy thing that Madman Dan did, and it's kind of cool because you can move your units here and it'll zero out over here. This is the amount of money I have saved, and if I put it here, it'll tell you what the value of all these units are. So 45 bucks, I drop down to only having $1 left over. We of course get our blue division here as well, and I suppose we are at that stage where we can start putting stuff on the map. Now, where are all these people going? Where are you going, Cotton Eye Joe? We're gonna put these guys over to Western Germany. Gonna put one motorized out here as well. Actually, to kind of have a little balance of forces, we're gonna put 2 motorized here. We do have our light armor there, so we're gonna go 3 motorized and 2 of those fellas, and then these other 2 dudes are gonna come down south here. The light tank, medium armor. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna put all 4 medium armor present there. That's what we'll do. And so 4 medium armor, and then 3 mech. Yeah, 3 mech and 1. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 mech. You know, they have the same combat power. Yeah, so 3 mech and 1 light tank down here. Why did I build a light tank then? Do I need a light tank? No. You know what? Sorry, guys. I'm going to change this up last minute and build another mechanized infantry. It has the same combat power as some of these bigger boys. Is that right? I think that's the way we'll do it. I can't see why not. We don't need to build as many as I thought we did. 3 yeah, with a combat defense of 4, so I think that's the proper choice there. I don't think we need to build another light armor. Perfect. So that takes care of that. We of course get our blue division as well, which we'll put right into Berlin. And now we're going to go over to our purchases. Sorry, our technologies. We have 4 techs right here we're going to roll for. I've already lined them up. Heavy armor, light construction, long range improved construction, all the rest, and long range aircraft. Let's see what the results are. We have 2 results. Mechanized infantry is perpetually bad with a 6 for heavy armor. Long range gets 11 and improved construction of 9. So you know what? Not horrible. Not horrible. We ended up moving a couple things that we liked. Of course, it would have been nice for these 2, but hey, whatever. It's what it is. I don't think we could cross this point until July 39, so we still have a little bit of time to improve on that. While we're here, we're going to roll for our nationalists. See what the results are there. We need underneath 6, and so we got 3, so we're going to succeed on that one. We're going to put some dudes on the board now. I'm not sure exactly what we ought to put down. I think we're going to put a couple more militia down on the board. One in Madrid. And I'm going to put another one in Eastern Andalusia. Kind of have a few units on each spot. So that's nice that we got that one a second time in a row. That's always a nice tidy thing to do. Yeah, I think that's what we end up having to do. And that concludes it for the for our fellows here over the Germans. And we're going to give ourselves income. I believe it's 24 bucks, so that bumps us up to 25 to spend on the subsequent turn. And we're going to hand things over to our good friend 5-star general who's going to play as the Russians. And we'll see what kind of mischief those guys are going to get up to. Thank you all for watching. I will talk to you all later. Cheers.